Reading stories in English is not just a journey into fascinating worlds, but also a powerful tool for learning and mastering the language.
Chapter 1. Harland's Childhood. A Boy with Big Dreams. Once upon a time, in a small, quiet town called Henryville, Indiana, there was a boy named Harland Sanders. Harland was born on September 9, 1890, into a simple family. His father, Wilbur, was a farmer, and his mother, Margaret, was a homemaker. Life wasn't easy for the Sanders family. They didn't have much money, but they had love and dreams. Harland was a curious and energetic boy. He loved exploring the fields near his home, watching the chickens peck at the ground, and helping his mother in the kitchen. Even as a young boy, Harland had a special talent for cooking. His mother often said, "Harland, you have magic in your hands. You can turn simple ingredients into something wonderful." But when Harland was just 6 years old, something terrible happened. His father became very sick and passed away. This was a hard time for the family. Harland's mother had to work long hours at a factory to support her 3 children. Harland, being the oldest, had to take on a lot of responsibility. "Harland, you're the man of the house now," his mother told him one evening. "You need to help take care of your brother and sister." Harland nodded bravely. Even though he was just a child, he understood that his family needed him. He started doing chores around the house, cooking meals, cleaning, and even sewing clothes for his siblings. One day, Harland's sister asked him, "Why do you always cook for us? You're just a boy." Harland smiled and said, "Because I like it. Cooking makes me happy. And one day, I'm going to have my own restaurant. I'll make the best fried chicken in the world." His sister laughed. "The best fried chicken in the world? That's a big dream." "It is," Harland said. "But I'm going to make it happen." Life wasn't always easy for Harland. Money was tight, and sometimes there wasn't enough food to eat. But Harland never complained. He worked hard and always tried to help his family. One summer, Harland got his first job. He was only 10 years old. He worked on a nearby farm, taking care of the animals and helping with the crops. It was hard work, but Harland didn't mind. He liked being outside and learning new things. One evening, after a long day on the farm, Harland came home tired and dirty. His mother looked at him and said, "Harland, you're working too hard. You're just a boy. You should be playing with your friends." Harland shook his head. "I don't mind working, Mama. I want to help. And besides, I'm learning a lot. One day, all this hard work will pay off." His mother smiled and hugged him. "You're a special boy, Harland. I'm proud of you." As Harland grew older, he took on more jobs. He worked as a streetcar conductor, a farmhand, and even in a factory. Every job taught him something new. He learned how to talk to people, how to solve problems, and how to never give up. But no matter how many jobs he had, Harland never forgot his dream. He wanted to have his own restaurant. He wanted to cook delicious food and make people happy. One day, when Harland was 12 years old, he decided to leave school and work full-time. His mother was worried. "Harland, you need an education," she said. "How will you achieve your dreams without school?" Harland thought for a moment and then said, "Mama, I'll learn from life. I'll work hard and never stop trying. That's how I'll achieve my dreams." His mother looked at him with tears in her eyes. She knew Harland was special. He had a big heart and an even bigger dream. As the years went by, Harland faced many challenges. But he never gave up. He kept working hard and believing in himself. One evening, as he sat by the fire with his family, Harland said, "One day, I'm going to make the best fried chicken in the world. People will come from everywhere to taste it. And when they do, I'll know that all my hard work was worth it." His family smiled. They believed in Harland, just as he believed in himself. And so, the boy with big dreams grew up, facing life's challenges with courage and determination. Little did he know that one day, his dream would come true, and his fried chicken would become famous all over the world. But that's a story for another chapter. Chapter 2. Many jobs, many lessons. Learning from life. After leaving school at the age of 12, Harland Sanders began a new chapter in his life. He was young, but he was determined to work hard and help his family. Over the next few years, Harland took on many different jobs. Each job taught him something new, and each experience brought him closer to his dream. Harland's first full-time job was on a farm. He woke up early every morning to feed the animals, milk the cows, and work in the fields. It was hard work, but Harland didn't mind. He loved being outside and learning about nature. One day, while working in the fields, Harland's boss said to him, "You're a hard worker, Harland. Not many boys your age would work this hard." Harland smiled and replied, "I want to help my family. And I want to learn everything I can. One day, I'm going to have my own business." His boss nodded. "With that attitude, I'm sure you will." After working on the farm for a few years, Harland decided to try something new. He got a job as a streetcar conductor in New Albany, Indiana. His job was to collect money from passengers and help them get on and off the streetcar. Harland enjoyed this job because he got to meet new people every day. He was friendly and polite, and the passengers liked him. One day, an old man said to him, "Young man, you have a kind heart. You'll go far in life." Harland thanked the man and said, "I hope so. I have big dreams." But not all of Harland's jobs were easy. When he was 16, he got a job working on a train as a fireman. His job was to shovel coal into the train's engine to keep it running. It was hot, dirty, and exhausting work. One day, Harland got into an argument with one of his coworkers. The man was rude and lazy, and Harland couldn't stand it. "If you don't do your job, the train won't run properly," Harland said. The man didn't like being told what to do by a teenager. He got angry and started a fight. Harland defended himself, but the next day, he was fired. Harland felt terrible. He had lost his job, and he didn't know what to do. But he didn't give up. "I'll find another job," he said to himself. "I'll keep trying." And he did. Harland took on many different jobs over the next few years. He worked as a salesman, selling tires and insurance. He even worked as a lawyer for a short time, even though he had never gone to law school. One day, while working as a salesman, Harland met a man who owned a small restaurant. The man said, "Harland, you're good at talking to people. Why don't you open your own business?" Harland thought about it and said, "I've always wanted to have my own restaurant. I love cooking, and I want to make people happy with my food." The man smiled. "Then do it. Follow your dream." Harland took the man's advice to heart. He saved as much money as he could and started thinking about how to open his own restaurant. But life had other plans for him. In 1929, something terrible happened. The stock market crashed, and many people lost their jobs and their money. This time was called the Great Depression, and it was very hard for everyone, including Harland. Harland lost his job and had to start over again. But he didn't give up. He took on odd jobs wherever he could find them. He worked as a dishwasher, a janitor, and even a street cleaner. One day, while sweeping the streets, Harland met an old friend. The friend said, "Harland, I'm sorry to see you like this. You've had so many jobs, but nothing seems to work out." Harland smiled and said, "It's okay. Every job teaches me something new. I'm learning how to work hard, how to talk to people, and how to never give up. One day, all this hard work will pay off." The friend nodded. "I hope so, Harland. You deserve it." During this difficult time, Harland never forgot his dream. He still wanted to have his own restaurant and make the best fried chicken in the world. He just needed the right opportunity. One day, Harland heard about a small gas station in Corbin, Kentucky, that was for sale. He didn't have much money, but he decided to take a risk. He bought the gas station and turned it into a small restaurant. The restaurant was very simple. It had only a few tables and chairs, and Harland did all the cooking himself. But he worked hard to make it special. One day, a traveler stopped at the gas station. He was tired and hungry. "Do you have any food?" he asked Harland. "Of course," Harland said with a smile. "I'll make you the best fried chicken you've ever tasted." The traveler loved the chicken. "This is amazing," he said. "You should sell this to everyone." Harland was happy. He loved cooking for people and seeing them enjoy his food. Soon, more and more travelers stopped at his restaurant. They all loved his fried chicken. Harland's restaurant became very popular. People came from far away to taste his chicken. Harland worked hard to make his restaurant better. He added more tables and chairs, and he even built a small motel next to it. People could eat, sleep, and relax at Harland's place. But Harland wasn't satisfied. He wanted his chicken to be perfect. He experimented with different spices and cooking methods. "I need to find the secret recipe," he said. And so, Harland continued to work hard, learning from every experience and never giving up on his dream. Little did he know that his hard work would soon pay off in a big way. Chapter 3. Cooking for Travelers. The First Restaurant. After years of working different jobs and learning valuable lessons, Harland Sanders finally found his big opportunity. In the early 1930s, he moved to Corbin, Kentucky, a small town with a busy road that many travelers used. Harland saw this as his chance to follow his dream. He bought a small gas station and decided to turn it into something special, a place where travelers could stop, eat, and rest. The gas station was simple, but Harland had big plans. He cleaned it up, painted the walls, and added a few tables and chairs. He also set up a small kitchen where he could cook for his customers. Harland didn't have much money, but he had a lot of passion. One day, a traveler stopped at the gas station. He looked tired and hungry. "Do you have any food here?" he asked Harland. Harland smiled and said, "Of course. I'll make you something delicious." He went to the kitchen and cooked his famous fried chicken. When the traveler tasted it, his eyes lit up. "This is the best chicken I've ever had," he said. "You should sell this to everyone." Harland was thrilled. He loved cooking for people and seeing them enjoy his food. Soon, word spread about the delicious fried chicken at the gas station. More and more travelers started stopping by. One day, a family of 4 came to the gas station. The children were excited. "We heard you have amazing chicken," they said. Harland laughed. "You heard right. I'll make you the best fried chicken you've ever tasted." The family loved the food. The father said, "This place is wonderful. You should make it bigger so more people can come." Harland thought about this. He realized that his little gas station was becoming more than just a place to fill up your car. It was becoming a destination. Over time, Harland worked hard to improve his restaurant. He added more tables and chairs, and he even built a small motel next to the gas station. Now, travelers could eat, sleep, and relax at Harland's place. One evening, after a long day of work, Harland sat down with a cup of coffee and thought about how far he had come. "This is just the beginning," he said to himself. "I'm going to make this place the best it can be." But Harland wasn't satisfied with just serving good food. He wanted his chicken to be perfect. He spent hours in the kitchen, experimenting with different spices and cooking methods. He tried frying the chicken in different oils and at different temperatures. He added herbs and spices to create a unique flavor. One day, Harland had an idea. "What if I use a pressure cooker?" he thought. "A pressure cooker cooks food faster and keeps it moist." Harland tried it, and the chicken came out perfectly crispy on the outside and juicy on the inside. He also created a special mix of 11 herbs and spices. This mix gave the chicken a delicious and unique flavor. "This is it," Harland said. "This is the secret recipe." People loved the new chicken. They came from far away to taste it. Harland's restaurant became very popular, and he was proud of what he had built. But life wasn't always easy. One day, a new highway was built, and it didn't pass by Harland's restaurant. Fewer people came, and Harland's business started to struggle. Harland was worried. He didn't want to lose everything he had worked so hard for. One evening, he sat down with his wife and said, "What are we going to do? The highway is taking all our customers." His wife thought for a moment and said, "Harland, your chicken is special. People love it. Maybe you should take it to them." Harland looked at her and smiled. "You're right. If people won't come to me, I'll go to them." And so, Harland made a bold decision. He decided to travel across the country and sell his secret recipe to other restaurants. He packed his bags, loaded his car with his pressure cooker and spices, and hit the road. It wasn't an easy journey. Many restaurant owners said no to Harland. "You're too old," they said. "Your idea won't work." But Harland didn't give up. He believed in his chicken. "This recipe is special," he said. "People will love it." One day, Harland walked into a small restaurant in Utah. He cooked his chicken for the owner, and when the owner tasted it, he said, "This is amazing. I'll sell it in my restaurant." Harland was overjoyed. He made a deal with the owner. He would teach them how to cook the chicken, and they would pay him a small fee for every piece they sold. This was the beginning of something big. More and more restaurants started selling Harland's chicken. People loved it, and Harland's dream was coming true. But this was just the start of Harland's journey. Little did he know that his fried chicken would soon become famous all over the world. Chapter 4. The Secret Recipe. Finding the Perfect Chicken. Harland Sanders had always been passionate about cooking, but now he had a mission: to create the perfect fried chicken. His small restaurant in Corbin, Kentucky, was doing well, but Harland wasn't satisfied. He wanted his chicken to be the best in the world. Every day, Harland spent hours in the kitchen, experimenting with different recipes. He tried frying the chicken in different oils: corn oil, peanut oil, and even lard. He cooked it at different temperatures and for different lengths of time. He added spices like paprika, garlic powder, and black pepper. But something was always missing. One evening, after a long day of cooking, Harland sat down with a notebook. He wrote down all the ingredients he had tried and the results. "There has to be a way to make the chicken crispier on the outside and juicier on the inside," he said to himself. Then, he had an idea. "What if I use a pressure cooker? A pressure cooker cooks food faster and keeps it moist." Harland decided to give it a try. The next day, he borrowed a pressure cooker from a friend. He seasoned the chicken with his special mix of spices and put it in the pressure cooker with hot oil. When the chicken came out, it was golden brown and crispy. Harland took a bite and smiled. "This is it," he said. "This is the perfect chicken." But Harland wasn't done yet. He wanted the flavor to be unique. He started experimenting with different herbs and spices. He tried thyme, oregano, and even a little bit of sugar. He mixed and matched until he found the perfect combination: 11 herbs and spices that created a flavor no one had ever tasted before. One day, a regular customer came into the restaurant. "Harland, what's new on the menu today?" he asked. Harland smiled. "I've been working on something special. Try this." He handed the customer a plate of his new fried chicken. The customer took a bite and his eyes widened. "Harland, this is incredible. What did you do differently?" Harland laughed. "It's a secret recipe. But I'm glad you like it." Word spread quickly about Harland's new chicken. People came from all over to taste it. The restaurant was busier than ever, and Harland was proud of what he had created. But Harland didn't stop there. He wanted to make sure every piece of chicken was perfect. He trained his staff carefully, teaching them how to season the chicken, how to use the pressure cooker, and how to serve it hot and fresh. One day, a young cook asked Harland, "Why do you work so hard? The chicken is already amazing." Harland looked at him and said, "Because I want it to be the best. If we're going to serve this chicken to people, it has to be perfect every time." The young cook nodded. "I understand. I'll do my best." Harland's restaurant became famous for its fried chicken. People loved the crispy, juicy flavor, and they kept coming back for more. Harland was happy, but he knew there was still more to do. One evening, as he was closing the restaurant, Harland sat down with a cup of coffee and thought about the future. "This chicken is special," he said to himself. "I need to share it with the world." But before he could do that, life threw him another challenge. A new highway was built, and it didn't pass by Harland's restaurant. Fewer people came, and business started to slow down. Harland was worried. He didn't want to lose everything he had worked so hard for. One night, he sat down with his wife and said, "What are we going to do? The highway is taking all our customers." His wife thought for a moment and said, "Harland, your chicken is special. People love it. Maybe you should take it to them." Harland looked at her and smiled. "You're right. If people won't come to me, I'll go to them." And so, Harland made a bold decision. He decided to travel across the country and sell his secret recipe to other restaurants. He packed his bags, loaded his car with his pressure cooker and spices, and hit the road. It wasn't an easy journey. Many restaurant owners said no to Harland. "You're too old," they said. "Your idea won't work." But Harland didn't give up. He believed in his chicken. "This recipe is special," he said. "People will love it." One day, Harland walked into a small restaurant in Utah. He cooked his chicken for the owner, and when the owner tasted it, he said, "This is amazing. I'll sell it in my restaurant." Harland was overjoyed. He made a deal with the owner. He would teach them how to cook the chicken, and they would pay him a small fee for every piece they sold. This was the beginning of something big. More and more restaurants started selling Harland's chicken. People loved it, and Harland's dream was coming true. But this was just the start of Harland's journey. Little did he know that his fried chicken would soon become famous all over the world. Chapter 5. Traveling and Selling. Sharing his chicken with the world. After closing his restaurant in Corbin, Kentucky, Harland Sanders faced a big challenge. He was 65 years old, and many people thought he was too old to start something new. But Harland didn't listen to them. He had a dream, and he was determined to make it come true. Harland packed his car with his pressure cooker, a bag of his secret spices, and a few personal belongings. He hit the road with a mission, to share his fried chicken with the world. His first stop was a small restaurant in Utah. Harland walked in and introduced himself to the owner. "Hello, my name is Harland Sanders. I have a special fried chicken recipe that I think your customers will love." The owner was skeptical. "We already have fried chicken on the menu. Why should we try yours?" Harland smiled. "Let me show you." He went into the kitchen and cooked his chicken using his secret recipe and pressure cooker. When the owner tasted it, his eyes widened. "This is amazing. It's crispy, juicy, and full of flavor. How did you do it?" Harland laughed. "It's a secret recipe. But if you're interested, I can teach your cooks how to make it." The owner agreed, and Harland made his first deal. He would teach the restaurant how to cook his chicken, and they would pay him a small fee for every piece they sold. Harland was thrilled. "This is just the beginning," he said to himself. But not every restaurant was as welcoming. At his next stop, the owner said, "You're too old to be starting a business. Your idea won't work." Harland didn't let this discourage him. "I believe in my chicken," he said. "And I know people will love it." He kept traveling, visiting restaurants in small towns and big cities. Some owners said yes, and others said no. But Harland never gave up. One day, Harland walked into a diner in Indiana. The owner was a kind woman named Clara. "What can I do for you?" she asked. Harland explained his idea and offered to cook his chicken for her. Clara agreed, and when she tasted it, she said, "This is the best fried chicken I've ever had. Let's make a deal." Harland was happy. He spent the next few days teaching Clara's cooks how to make his chicken. Before he left, Clara said, "Harland, you're doing something special. Don't let anyone stop you." Harland smiled. "Thank you, Clara. I won't." As Harland traveled, he faced many challenges. His car broke down several times, and he often slept in cheap motels or even in his car. But he kept going, driven by his passion and belief in his chicken. One night, as he was driving through a storm, Harland felt tired and lonely. He pulled over to the side of the road and thought about giving up. "Maybe they're right," he said to himself. "Maybe I'm too old for this." But then he remembered his dream. He thought about all the people who had loved his chicken and all the restaurants that were now selling it. "I can't give up now," he said. "I've come too far." The next day, Harland visited a restaurant in Ohio. The owner was a young man named Tom. Harland cooked his chicken, and when Tom tasted it, he said, "This is incredible. Let's make a deal." Harland was overjoyed. He spent the next few days teaching Tom's cooks how to make his chicken. Before he left, Tom said, "Harland, you're an inspiration. You're proving that it's never too late to follow your dreams." Harland smiled. "Thank you, Tom. That means a lot." As the months went by, more and more restaurants started selling Harland's chicken. People loved it, and word spread quickly. Harland's dream was becoming a reality. One day, Harland received a phone call from a businessman named Pete Harmon. Pete owned a restaurant in Salt Lake City, Utah, and he wanted to sell Harland's chicken. "Harland, your chicken is amazing," Pete said. "Let's work together and make it even bigger." Harland agreed, and they made a deal. Pete's restaurant became the first official Kentucky Fried Chicken franchise. Harland was thrilled. "This is just the beginning," he said. "My chicken is going to be famous all over the world." And he was right. Over the next few years, more and more restaurants became KFC franchises. Harland traveled across the country, teaching cooks how to make his chicken and spreading the word about his delicious recipe. But Harland didn't do it alone. He had the support of his family, friends, and the many people who believed in him. Together, they helped turn Harland's dream into a reality. Chapter 6. KFC is born success after hard work. After years of traveling, teaching, and sharing his secret recipe, Harland Sanders' dream was finally coming true. More and more restaurants were selling his fried chicken, and people everywhere loved it. But Harland didn't stop there. He wanted to make Kentucky Fried Chicken, KFC, a household name. One day, Harland received a call from Pete Harmon, the owner of the first KFC franchise in Salt Lake City, Utah. "Harland, we need to make KFC bigger," Pete said. "Let's open more restaurants and make your chicken famous." Harland agreed. Together, they worked to create a plan to grow KFC. They designed a logo, created a menu, and set standards for every restaurant. Harland wanted every piece of chicken to be perfect, just like the ones he made in his own kitchen. Soon, KFC restaurants started opening all over the country. Harland traveled to each one, teaching the cooks how to make his chicken and ensuring everything was just right. He wore his white suit and black tie, and people started calling him Colonel Sanders. One day, a young boy asked Harland, "Why do they call you Colonel?" Harland laughed and said, "It's an honorary title. It means people respect me for my cooking." The boy smiled. "I want to be a colonel too." Harland patted the boy on the head. "Work hard, follow your dreams, and maybe one day you will." As KFC grew, Harland became a famous figure. He appeared in commercials, on TV shows, and in newspapers. People loved his friendly personality and his delicious chicken. But Harland never forgot where he came from. He often visited his old restaurant in Corbin, Kentucky, and talked to the people who had supported him from the beginning. One day, Harland's sister asked him, "Harland, aren't you tired? You've been working so hard for so many years." Harland smiled and said, "I'm not tired. I'm happy. I'm living my dream." By the 1960s, KFC had become one of the most popular restaurants in the world. There were hundreds of KFC restaurants in the United States and even more in other countries. Harland's fried chicken was famous everywhere. But Harland didn't stop working. He continued to visit KFC restaurants, talk to customers, and make sure everything was perfect. He believed that hard work and attention to detail were the keys to success. One day, a reporter asked Harland, "What's the secret to your success?" Harland thought for a moment and said, "The secret is to never give up. No matter how hard life gets, keep trying. And always do your best." The reporter smiled. "That's great advice, Colonel Sanders." Harland's story inspired millions of people around the world. He showed that with hard work, determination, and a little bit of magic, anything is possible. In 1980, Harland Sanders passed away at the age of 90. But his legacy lives on. Today, KFC is in over 150 countries, and millions of people enjoy his delicious fried chicken every day. Harland's story is a story of hope, perseverance, and never giving up on your dreams. He started with nothing but a dream and a secret recipe, and he turned it into something extraordinary. Epilogue: The Legacy of Colonel Sanders. Even though Harland Sanders is no longer with us, his spirit lives on in every piece of KFC chicken. His story continues to inspire people around the world to follow their dreams, work hard, and never give up. Every time you see the KFC logo or taste that crispy, juicy chicken, remember the man behind it, the boy from Henryville, Indiana, who dreamed of making the best fried chicken in the world. Harland Sanders proved that it's never too late to follow your dreams. No matter how old you are or how many challenges you face, you can achieve great things if you believe in yourself and never give up. So the next time you enjoy a piece of KFC chicken, take a moment to think about Colonel Sanders and his incredible journey. And remember, with hard work and determination, you can make your dreams come true too.
Si te ha gustado el vídeo, suscríbete y dadle a la campanita. Nos vemos en el siguiente vídeo.